Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Hosted by Ben Anker. Let's dive in.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ben, and I'm here with my co-host David for episode 19. Today, we're diving into something that's been on my mind a lot lately, MLOps, or machine learning operations. But here's the twist. I want to explore how traditional business analyst skills are absolutely critical in this space.
That's fascinating, Ben. For our listeners who might not be familiar, could you explain what MLOps actually is and why you think BA skills are so relevant here?
So MLOps is essentially DevOps for machine learning. It's the practice of deploying and maintaining machine learning models in production reliably and efficiently. Think about it like this. A data scientist creates a brilliant model that can predict customer churn with 95% accuracy. Amazing, right? But how do you get that model from a Jupyter notebook into a production system serving millions of customers? How do you monitor if it's still working correctly 6 months later? What happens when the underlying data changes?
So it's that gap between creating the model and actually using it in the real world. That sounds like a classic implementation challenge that BAs deal with all the time.
And here's where my background gets excited, because every single challenge in MLOps is fundamentally a business analysis problem. During my time at Channel 4, I had to analyse how 35 different teams would be impacted by migrating to new broadcast platforms. I created detailed process maps, identified dependencies, and managed the human side of technical change. MLOps, it's the same challenge, different domain.
You mentioned Channel 4. That was quite a complex transformation project, wasn't it? How does that experience translate to what you're seeing in the MLOps space?
It was huge. We were migrating all 5 broadcast services: linear, media, online, access, and post-production. I had to canvass all 35 impacted teams and analyse 191 different processes. Similar complexity at UKTV, where I led impact analysis across 7 operational areas for their broadcast management system migration, and at Viasat, working on channel management system requirements across multiple stakeholder groups. Now, when I look at MLOps implementations, I see the exact same patterns. You've got data scientists, DevOps engineers, compliance teams, business stakeholders, all with different needs and languages. The data scientist says, I need this model to retrain weekly. The compliance team says, we need full audit trails for regulatory purposes. The DevOps team wants CI/CD integration. And business stakeholders need explainable decisions. Sound familiar? It's requirements gathering 101.
And that's a great parallel. What other BA skills do you think are particularly valuable in MLOps contexts?
Process design and documentation are huge. At Channel 4, I documented those 191 operational processes in excruciating detail. At Viasat, I had to translate a dated RFP into granular workflow drawings and detailed technical specifications. In MLOps, you're designing the entire model lifecycle, from data ingestion through training, validation, deployment, monitoring, and retraining. The skills are identical: understanding current state, designing future state, identifying gaps, and creating clear documentation that both technical and non-technical stakeholders can follow.
And I imagine change management becomes critical when you're introducing AI systems into existing workflows.
Absolutely. Remember that DR incident at Channel 4 that delayed our services migration? We had to rapidly assess impact, implement temporary workflows, and manage change under extreme pressure. In MLOps, models fail, data drifts, regulations change constantly. The ability to quickly assess what's broken, who's affected, what's the workaround, what's the permanent fix, that's pure business analysis, and it's absolutely critical in ML environments.
You've been studying AI strategy in business applications at UC Berkeley recently. How has that shaped your thinking about positioning yourself in this space?
It's been eye-opening, honestly. I'm learning about prompt engineering, generative AI workflows, enterprise AI governance, but I'm bringing to that a decade of experience in complex technical transformations. That combination is rare and valuable. I realized I don't need to become a data scientist to add massive value in MLOps. Let me paint you a picture of a typical engagement I could take on.
Please do. I think concrete examples really help our listeners understand these concepts.
Imagine a media company wanting to implement automated content recommendation systems across their streaming platform. My approach would start with stakeholder mapping, just like I did with those 35 teams at Channel 4. I'd identify every group impacted: content teams, data teams, engineering, legal, marketing, customer service. Then current state analysis. How are recommendations currently done? What manual processes exist? What data is available? This is identical to the impact assessments I did for broadcast system migrations.
And then you'd move into requirements definition and process design?
Well, exactly, because what does good look like? Accuracy targets, response times, explainability requirements, compliance needs. I've written hundreds of these for broadcast systems. Then I'd map the entire ML pipeline: data collection, pre-processing, model training, validation, deployment, monitoring, retraining. Create clear workflows that everyone understands. The beauty is, I don't need to be the data scientist or the MLOps engineer. I need to be the person who ensures all the pieces work together.
That's a compelling value proposition. What's the market opportunity looking like for this kind of role?
It's absolutely exploding. But there's a massive skills gap, and it's not the gap you might think. Most organizations can hire data scientists and DevOps engineers. What they struggle with is finding people who can bridge the business and technical domains in ML projects. The MLOps market is projected to grow from around $2 billion to over $16 billion by 2030. But here's the kicker: 85% of ML projects never make it to production, typically due to operational challenges, not algorithmic ones.
So it's not a technology problem, it's a business problem.
Precisely. Organizations report that business alignment is their biggest ML challenge. This isn't about building better algorithms. It's about understanding requirements, managing stakeholders, designing sustainable processes. That's exactly what we do as business analysts.
For BAs listening who find this interesting, what would you recommend as practical first steps?
Start with technical foundation building, but you don't need to become a data scientist. Take the AI for Everyone course. I did the Coursera one. Learn basic Python and SQL, understand cloud platforms, as my AWS certification has been invaluable here. Get familiar with ML model types and use cases, but more importantly, start documenting ML-related processes in your current role. How does your organization currently use data for decisions? What manual processes could be automated? Where are the integration points with existing systems?
And in terms of positioning yourself in the market,
create case studies that show BA skills applied to ML scenarios, requirements, documents for hypothetical ML projects, process maps for model deployment workflows, stakeholder analysis for AI implementations. Join MLOps communities, attend meetups, contribute to discussions. Position yourself as the BA who gets ML, rather than trying to compete with data scientists on technical depth.
what about challenges? This can't be a completely smooth transition.
Oh, absolutely not. There's a technical learning curve. You need to understand concepts like model drift, A/B testing for ML, feature stores, model versioning. You'll need to build credibility and prove you understand the ML domain well enough to be effective. The field moves fast, so you need to commit to continuous learning. But here's the thing: every challenge I just mentioned is also true for traditional BA work in new domains. When I moved from broadcast operations into complex system migrations at companies like UKTV and Channel 4, I had to learn new technical systems and prove my value. The fundamentals transfer,
Looking ahead, where do you see this intersection of BA skills and MLOps heading?
I think we're going to see a convergence that creates entirely new role categories. AI-enabled business analysis, where BAs use AI tools for requirements gathering and process documentation. I'm already experimenting with AI tools for creating user stories. Business-focused MLOps roles that emphasize value delivery over pure technical implementation. As machine learning tools become more accessible, BAs might directly build and deploy simple models, focusing on business logic rather than algorithmic complexity.
That's an exciting evolution. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
My prediction is that in 5 years, most senior business analyst roles will require some level of ML literacy, just like they now require understanding of cloud computing and APIs. The BAs who start building this capability now will have a significant advantage. For me personally, this represents an exciting evolution in my consulting practice. I'm not abandoning my broadcast and media expertise. I'm expanding it to include AI and ML capabilities. The combination of deep domain knowledge, proven BA methodologies, and emerging AI skills creates a unique value proposition.
The market opportunity is clearly there.
Absolutely. Organizations desperately need people who can bridge the business and technical worlds in machine learning implementations. The core challenges: understanding requirements, managing stakeholders, designing processes, facilitating change. These are exactly what we do as business analysts. The domain changes, but the analysis remains the same.
Brilliant insights, Ben. Thanks for sharing your perspective on this fascinating intersection of traditional BA skills and the emerging ML ops field.
Thanks, David, and thanks everyone for listening. Whether you're deploying ML models or migrating broadcast systems, it all comes down to understanding people, processes, and technology. Until next time, try keep ahead of the game.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.